All right. Well, for some reason, we ain't got no video. I ain't got no tunes playing, but it is what it is. I'm just going to have to run the show just like this. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Yeah, absolutely. So let me go ahead and get ready. I really don't have time to try to go through and fix it. I have to work on that after this show. So this show is just gonna be like this. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I hope whoever listening, I can tell we got a couple people listening. I hope y'all having a great Thursday. My Thursday is awesome. It don't matter what's going on. I'm always have a good day. So again, we talking about the good attitude, having that winning attitude. That's what we're going to talk about. So you just have to bear with me. You're just going to have to look at the picture right there. I don't have the no video right now. For some reason, it's not working correctly. I'm going to have to get that fixed immediately after this show. But anyhow, I hope you guys is having an awesome Thursday. So just to remind you again, we're talking about attitude, and we're going to get into high valued men and high valued women, right? What are the characteristics of high value men and high value women? You definitely want to stick around for that. Jody said he don't like the picture. I don't like that picture either, man, but it's what I got to work with. You feel me? It's all I got to work with right now. So I don't even know how to change the picture at this point. Let me see. Anyhow, so why is attitude important? Huh? Why is it important? I want you to think about this. I want you to think about this. Our attitude towards life will determine life's attitude towards us. Think about that for a minute. Our attitude towards life is going to determine life's attitude towards us. That's why attitude is very important. Very important. And to put it another way, we shape our own life is shaped by our attitude. Yep, attitude reflects leadership. Definitely. In the way it does. It doesn't. Well, your attitude real, you'll be able to identify who a leader is by his attitude. If that's what you mean, Jody. Yeah. You definitely Jody said attitude reflects leadership, and that's true. Well, in the sense that you'll be able to identify a leader by his attitude. But so our attitude towards life determines life's attitude towards us. So our whole minds and everything that we deal with is filtered through our attitude. And so to give you I'll give you an example. I want you to think about this. If you have an individual that perhaps they have the wrong attitude towards education or towards learning. I remember when I was in school, I had a bad attitude towards certain subjects. Like when it came to gym and music and certain subjects, I had a positive attitude towards, and it was easy for me to excel and thrive in those classes. But the classes that I had a bad attitude towards, right, like history, sociology, stuff like that, those classes I had a bad attitude towards, it was harder for me to thrive. It was harder for me to learn simply because my attitude towards those classes was wrong. It was bad. And so it made it twice as hard. And so that's why that particular term is important, that statement that our attitude towards life determines how our attitude towards life is going to determine how life, you know, life's attitude towards us is determined. So that's why it's very important that we learning and we going through this today to figure out how to have that winning attitude so that everything is easy. Everything just flows in your life. I remember also when I was younger, right? I was, when I used to go to the swimming pool, I used to be a little scared of the water. So I would just hold on to the edge and just kind of kick my feet and scoop my hand around. Well, one time I was doing that and my hand fell off. It fell right off the edge. And so immediately I thought I was going to drown, but then I just stood up. And so as soon as I stood up, my attitude changed instantly. It changed instantly. I started looking around like, oh, that's all I got to do to stand up. And so from that moment on, I just started swimming and experimenting and going underwater and floating and doing all this other stuff. My whole attitude here, my attitude was fear, thinking that, I'll drown in the water. But then when my hand slipped off and all I had to do was stand up, my attitude changed. And so that in turn allowed me to learn more and more when it comes to swimming. Eventually I didn't, went to jumping off the diving boards and diving off the high dive and stuff like that, all because I had an attitude change. And so that's why it's important that we have to check our attitudes. We had a saying when we was in sports, they always say, or even in class, sometimes your teacher tell you or your coach tell you, check your attitude at the door. Very important to check your attitude at the door, because we know that if you come through and you carry that attitude with you, it's going to be hard for you to learn. It's going to be hard for you to advance. And so that's why I'm telling you to check your attitude, not only at the door, check it, period. Check it, period. Make sure you have the right attitude at all times. Very important. So, what's your attitude right now? Right? What's your attitude right now? What have your attitude kept you from doing? Like with me, when my attitude switched, I was able to, learn how to swim and advance and do advanced stuff swimming. So what's your attitude? What has it kept you from doing? What has it kept you from, how has it kept you from advancing or thriving in life? Because again, having that the wrong attitude is like it's like being in prison, and a lot of people don't realize it. What about your attitude in relationships? Very important. People approach attitudes with towards, certain people. Like, do you have an attitude or a specific? And when I mean attitude, I don't necessarily mean a negative attitude towards specific things, just a closed mind. Like some people have certain attitudes where their mind is just closed. They don't want to meet certain type of people, or they don't want to try new things. That alone is not a good environment. And it's difficult. It makes it difficult in relationships, you know. So how do your attitude in relation to your relationships? Because it affects them. Some people, I know ultimately we want to find, a suitable mate, or, nobody wants to be alone. But a lot of times we're our own worst enemy. Our attitudes that we have is preventing us from meeting the right person. We're kind of pushing away the right person. And also our attitude can be attracting the wrong person as well. Your attitude also, not only does it push things away, but it also attracts certain things. And so if you've been dealing with the same type of guy over and over, or the same type of girl, or the same situation over and over again, you might have to check your attitude and see what is it that you're sending out. And why is it that you keep running into or picking these same people, or running into these same people? People keep trying you, or people keep doing stuff that you don't like. So we always have to look inner when we want to improve on the outside. And again, just the people that's tuned in, we having some technical difficulties. Maybe the camera may come back on, or it may not. But as they say in show business, the show must go on. Very important topic we're talking about today. It's going to be about, right now we're going through the attitudes, but we're going to get into some important stuff about being a high level, a high value man and a high value women. So anyway, we're talking about our attitude and how it affects relationships. What about your career? Right? Your attitude, having the right attitude towards career, towards your job, help you thrive in your work environment. Do you have an open attitude where you're able to learn more things? You can work with anybody, or are you that type of person that as soon as you see somebody, if they act a certain way or dress a certain way or talk a certain way, you automatically is turned off. Like, you know what, I can't work with that person. I can already tell you. If you already suggesting or saying you can't do something, then you already have the wrong attitude already. And what's going to happen is when you tell yourself that, when you think that, then your life is going to show it to you. It's going to prove yourself. You're going to prove yourself right. So that's why it's very cautious. You got to be very cautious of how you're talking to yourself and what you're saying. So I know sometimes you might feel it. Sounds like me in some way. Raquel, yep, yep. I've seen some of your posts. So yeah. So but that's how it works. That's how it works. Whenever we say something, right? Our body, our mind begin to make it true, because we don't want to walk around being being a liar or being false, being, you know what I'm saying? We don't want to walk around being wrong. So what happens is our mind begins to make everything we say true. We'll see it. And so if you say that you can't do something, then you're going to prove yourself right. We have it. That's how you can have two different people looking at something and have two separate opinions, and both of them feel like they're completely right. And in a sense, they are right because their mind is showing them that they're right. And it's all based on their attitude. That's why it's good to have an open attitude to be able to learn and understand. So understand that another importance of attitude is your accomplishments, your income, all these levels is going to be in direct relationship to your attitude. How much money you make, where you end up in your career, where you at, if you end up as just a regular worker or if you progress to be a supervisor or a business owner. All that is going to be in direct relation to your attitude. And let me see, we got a comment up here. Let me see. I don't know if you can still see the comments that I'm gonna put her comment up here and see. But she says, but isn't it okay to be like me sometimes, if you can already tell that some things won't work out for you based on vibes? No, that is not okay, because again, you're making your future. You're making the future. So if you feel or say that it's not going to work out, then it's not going to work out based on what you're saying. And so if you say it is going to work out, then it's going to work out. So that's the tricky part of it. That's what we have to understand, that you have to be ahead of it. You have to already have the right attitude walking in there. The only reason you would look at something and say it's not going to work out is because before you even got to that point, you already have the wrong attitude automatically, or you've allowed yourself to think negatively and have that wrong attitude. So that's why you have to have the right attitude in the beginning. Shorty said, "Let her be great." That's not being great. And think about it. Nobody wants to have a whole bunch of negative experiences. And so if you walk around judging things negatively, then you're going to have a lot more negative experiences than you will positive experiences. So if you switch it and you're judging everything on the positive with a positive attitude, then you're going to have a lot more positive experiences. Even if things don't work the way you want them to work out, because your vision and your mind is a positive attitude, it's going to be more of an enjoyable downfall than a negative downfall. Like both two people can go through the same thing. One person can feel like the world is over and there's nothing we can do, and they can give up on life. And then you can have another person that's going through the same thing, but they stay encouraged, they stay positive, and they eventually rise above it, and they don't shrink away from life. So that all that's determined based on your attitude in the beginning. And so that's why it's important to have that right attitude, so that you don't shrink away or fall away from life when something bad happens. Instead, you muster the strength to continue to move forward. Let me see what she say. I'm not speaking negativity though, so we shouldn't go on based on intuition about things. Maybe we are different levels here. No, it's remember, your intuition is what you making it. Is what you making it. So you're forging your future. If you went by negative, and because you got to realize that the universe, the world, or whoever you want to call it, me, I call it God, the creator, wants us to win, period. So everything's going to work out in our favor, period. But the only way it's going to work out in our favor is if we have the attitude that is going to work out. And so what happens is, if something, just because something doesn't work in your favor, doesn't mean you're not supposed to try it, because you'll lose that learning curve. You'll lose that what we call it, that experience, right? You're going to walk away from everything that your intuition tells you is not going to be good. Then you're not going to learn anything, because through our failures and our downfalls is when we learn, okay, this doesn't work. This is, I need to try it a different way, or I need to try it a different way. Even when it comes to people, okay, this particular person has a special type of attitude, so maybe I need to adjust and talk to them this way, or maybe I need to, do this in order to make this relationship a lot better. It's compromise at all levels. And so that's why it's important. So again, talking about our careers and our income levels, all that is going to be in direct relation to our attitudes. A lot of people, a lot of successful people are there for a reason, because they have a specific attitude. It's found in all the highly successful people. I done read several books, and of some of the highly successful people, from Oprah to I can't Damon Johnson, I think his name is, the Fubu guy, and so many other people. You've read these books, and you realize that the difference between us is just that they had a better attitude. They used every experience to learn from it and to continue to grow. And that's the attitude to have. So it's not that you step away because something's gonna not gonna work out. You embrace it. You embrace the negative, or embrace the things that don't work out, the same way you embrace the things that work out, as a learning experience. Because it's all making us a better person. Shout out to Howard. What's up, boy? I'm having some visual difficulties, so I had to put the picture up. So I'm glad you're doing all right, man. I got to get to Georgia soon, man. I want to see y'all, man. I hope you're doing good and thriving over there. I know you are. I know you are. So it's important. So, but understand that when it comes to success, attitude alone doesn't bring success, right? I mean, it's not like a magic trick or a magic formula that just automatically brings success. You have to, but what attitude will do is it puts you in situations and opportunities for you to be successful. That's what the right attitude does. It puts you in those environments where you receive those opportunities, and you'll be able to take off. So, just a quote from William James. He said, "The greatest discovery of any generation is for human beings is that understanding that altering our lives by altering our attitude. So your whole life can be altered and changed just within the blink of an eye, just by changing your attitude. And I know it seems too easy, and I know a lot of people like, oh, but what about this and what about that? I'm telling you, I've done it just by simply changing, and it's not, and it has to become authentic. It has to become natural, meaning it has to seep deep down into your heart. You can't just walk around with a mental attitude. Like, you know what? All right, I'm going to change my attitude mentally, but it's not going to truly be a part of me. I'm not, I still have this skepticism in my heart that, oh, this is not going to work. I'm still, thinking that, oh, I'm going to try this, but I know it ain't going to work. That's the wrong type of attitude. You're already sabotaging yourself in the beginning. You have to let that thing go from your mind deep down in your heart. And you have to if you're not there yet, you have to actually pretend. You have to evoke that emotion that you will get from having the right attitude, the joy and the laughter. You have to put it on as if you have it right now. And so that's how it works. Once you do that, your heart, which is your subconscious mind, it responds to emotions. And so it's just like watching a movie, watching a scary movie. You sitting there, the movie is fake. It's a TV. It's just, the monster behind the door, but people still jump and they still get scared. It's because inside your subconscious doesn't recognize real from fake. It doesn't recognize that. And so that's why you get scared. And so you use that to your advantage. So you start to feed positive emotions to your subconscious mind about what you're seeing in the environment. And that's how it begins to change. You start to see things differently. You start to experience things differently. Your joy grows from that. And so it takes a lot of practice. It does, because something can go wrong instantly. And you're used to matching negative emotions with negative experiences. But that's when you switch it. You put on a positive attitude. So what I'm gonna do real quickly now, I'm gonna go through some winning attitudes so you understand exactly what type of attitude is a winning attitude that you should have, right? And I think it's very important that we go through that. And I'm gonna go through some of the bad attitudes as well. And the first one is what some of you guys are doing now. You got to have a teachable spirit. You have to recognize that you can learn from anybody. And again, like when we was talking about in school, when you have a negative attitude towards a specific subject, like a lot of people I know have negative attitudes towards math, right? They get anxious and, nervous, and so that therefore they do bad in math or any subject. Same thing with being taught in the world. If you're walking around in the world like you can't learn from nobody else. Even you can learn from a little kid. You can learn from anybody. So you just have to be open and have a teachable spirit. Then you'll continue to grow because you're going to learn things. Second thing, right, part of having a winning attitude is you got to take responsibility for your attitude, right? You got to take responsibility for yourself. And what I mean by taking responsibility for yourself is you have to be cautious of what you're feeding yourself, right? What you allow inside your head, what you're looking at, your environment, the people that you're hanging with. You have to be cautious of that. That's taking responsibility for yourself, because that's what's going to ultimately shape your mind and your thought, which ultimately shapes your attitude. And if you understand that, you won't work against yourself. You won't say, okay, I'm going to set a path to be this positive person, to have a positive attitude. But then here you're going to start doing some negative stuff. You're going to allow some negative stuff into your head, or, start hanging out with negative people. See, that's going to sabotage yourself, and you're never going to truly experience and get to that level. So you have to take responsibility on your environment and yourself and meditate. You got to take responsibility of what you're meditating on, and it's not always, meditation is not always just sitting with your legs folded and your eyes closed humming or whatnot. A lot of times, if you're worrying about something all day, that's a form of meditation. And so what you want to do is, instead of thinking about the how you're going to get the money for this bill, or what's going to happen at 6 o'clock, or instead of thinking about those negative things that may or may not happen, meditate or focus on the positive things, on what you can do to make the situation better, or envision yourself being triumphant in those situations. So it's very important when it comes to that meditation portion that you do that. And then not only do you want to, you also want to practice doing good stuff. Anytime we physically take actions on something, it kind of reiterates, or it solidifies what our thoughts are. So if you are saying you're going to have a good attitude, and you're going to be a positive person, and you start doing positive things, it's going to just continue to reiterate that inside your head, inside your subconscious. So your actions just kind of show you exactly what your attitude is. And so that's why it's very important, when it comes to having that winning attitude, that you do those things. Also, I want to explain to you about traveling the high road. So we know that whenever we dealing with people or situations, there's three roads we can travel. You can go the low road, and where you treat other people worse than how they treat you. You can go the middle road, where you treat other people exactly how they treat you, is what most people do, right? Or you can take the high road, is where you treat other people better than how they treat you. And so when taking a winning attitude, you want to always be in the practice of treating people better than how they treat you. And again, these are the attitudes that's going to put you in position to be successful, and it's going to always bring fortune to you. Jody say, if they go low, I go lower. I know you do. Trust me. I know you do. It's something you need to work on. But it's important. If you want to be successful, highly successful, you got to understand that the winning attitude that I'm talking about is not it's not a very basic success. I'm not talking about basic level success that anybody reaches. I'm talking about high level success, where you have a healthy, thriving relationship. It's very beautiful. Thriving job, where you're making more income, you're getting raises, and there's the sky is the limit. All these things, in order for you to get to that level, this is the attitude that you want to have. Couple more comments. Got Miss Hutchinson in. Let me see what she talk about. It says, see, I treat better people, and I kind of feel like people take advantage because I am a nice person. I think she meant to say I treat people better. Right. You're right. But you got to realize that you're not treating people better for them. You're treating people better for yourself. This is doing more for yourself than it is for other people. And what happens is, when you continue to take those actions, and then it mixes with time gets in there, it makes it a habit. So now you have this personal trait, or this habit, of treating people better than how they treat you. And I guarantee you, it's going to set you up to for success in the future. You might can't see it right this moment, because you're looking at the negative. You're looking directly at the negative. You're looking at the fact that you're pointing out that you feel like people taking advantage of you, is because you're looking at the negative. You have to switch it and look at the positive. And the positive is not in them. It's not in the fact that, okay, they need to recognize what I'm doing and they need to match what I'm doing. No, the positive is that, you know what, this is going to come back to me. I think of all the nice things that I've done, and I get excited thinking about it because it is coming back. It has to come back to me. Man, I'm just getting excited just thinking about it. Yes, she's absolutely right. Raquel says you will get blessings in the long run, hun. Long run too, hun. Yep. That's true. And that's exactly what I was just saying. So again, treating people better than how they treat you. Better attitude, especially in jobs. I read a book. It was called How to Raise Your Salary, right? How to raise your salary. And so in the book, part of it was, doing more than what's expected of you. And so I know a lot of people look at that and be like, whoa, they only paying me such and such an hour. Why should I do more than what they paying me? Again, it's the same principle. It's going to put you in a position to be successful. But one of the biggest things that I got out of that book is when they said that, and by you making a habit of doing more than what is expected of you, it's the only logical reason for you to be able to go to your employer and ask for a raise. Just think about that. That made me think like, yep, that's true. That's true. A lot of times people want to raise just because I'm here, they want to raise. Well, if you make a habit of doing more than what's expected of you, then you have a right to go and ask for a raise. So think about that. I know some of y'all like, I ain't doing no more than what they tell me to do. So the only difference that really separates, highly successful people and, and highly successful and unsuccessful people is the attitude. Not, their attitude that they have, their income level, and whatever they're experiencing is a direct result or direct reflection of the attitude that they've adopted. Same thing. You notice that a lot of people with lower income, they're a lot of times they're negative, and they feel like they can't do any better, or they feel like the people who have all the money is, crooks or taking the money, or not helping. And that's not always the case. And majority of the times it's not the case. What's the problem is that the attitude haven't changed. It doesn't take no more energy to be successful than it does to be poor. It takes the exact same amount of energy, but the only difference is how your attitude and your energy is directed. Are you directing it towards negativity, complaining, and discouragement, being depressed, or are you directing it towards faith and confidence and hope? That's the difference. So that's why it's important that you have that right attitude. So now we're gonna talk about these high level, high valued men and high valued women, right? I think this is important too. So first of all, let me tell y'all, I try to because I done research. Obviously, I do research and stuff, and I like to add my own experience in it. So I came across this guy that I'm sure y'all heard of him, the Kevin Samuel, or whoever it is. He always talking about uh, high value men and high value women and stuff like that. And so I tried to listen to this dude to see if I could get something, at least something good out of it. I couldn't. I lasted maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and I was like, okay, I'm done. Because his stuff was all about money, like being high value, like he was talking about men being a high value man, you got to make this amount of money and you got to be socially acceptable in this area and all this other stuff. And I'm like, brother, that has nothing to do with high value at all. Nothing to do with it. Because you got to realize that happiness, joy and happiness is just what it is. Joy and happiness. It doesn't matter what your situation is. You can be joyful and happy with, making 25,000 a year, and and within that environment you could be happy, and you can be miserable like we see making millions of dollars. So money has nothing to do with the value when it comes to individuals' value. So, but I will tell you that it is a direct relation, meaning people of high value tend to make more money, because again, that's just how it money's attracted to that. And so when you have men that have some of these traits and these qualities, then they tend to get the opportunities and put themselves in situations to win all the time. And the same thing with women as well. And so that's why it's important that we understand. So let's talk about some high valued men, right? So, and feel free to leave a comment. I know y'all have been leaving some comments what y'all think of some of the what y'all think is a high value trait in men. First thing is having self-confidence. And again, this is just my perspective. This is just Coach A's perspective. You might be able to find, some books or some videos on somebody else that'll give you their perspective. So again, this is just Coach A's perspective. First thing is self-confidence, right? He got to be confident in himself, and he has to be consistent as well. So he got to be confident in who he is as a man, right? What he's capable of doing, recognizing his value and his place here on the earth, and it's not mixed up in what type of car he drive, or what how much money he making. He just naturally realizes through potential that he's valuable, and he's consistent. He doesn't cave in to peer pressure. He doesn't care what his friends are doing or what the masses are doing. He's based on his convictions and his belief. His decisions come out of that, out of his confidence and his belief, right? Also, he's a leader. A high value man, again, to me, is a leader. He wants to be a leader. He knows he's a leader, and he operates as a leader. He's always the first person. He's not scared to be the first person to lead the pack, or to try something new, or to stand in front, to be protected of his family, whatever the situation is. He's that type of guy. And we all know the difference between people that are in the back, they're followers, and then some people are leaders. And so the interesting thing about leaders is that we're all leaders. We're all leaders in our own environment. So a lot of people think that leaders, you have to be born a leader, but that's not true. You can be taught, and it starts with the right attitude, having the attitude of a leader. Another thing, right? Another trait I would say is that a high value man takes care of himself when it comes to grooming, right? He wears nice clothes. He shaves. He makes sure his hair is done, right? He works out, makes sure he's healthy. He watches what he eats from time to time, right? This is a high value man because he values himself and his appearance. And so you never catch him. I mean, not to say that you won't catch him slipping, but the majority of the time when he's out, he's going to be well put together all the time. And so I think that's a very high trait to have, because a lot of guys don't care. I see it all the time. They don't care. They wear their hair any old way. They don't shave. They, it's like that's the norm now. Like, wear the clean cut. Now you can wear a beard, but eh, make it look nice. Trim it up a little bit. What about your hair? You know, I understand that we have this, we like to express ourselves, but you can't, do your fix your hairline or nothing. So again, these are just Coach A's. Your opinions and thoughts might be different. High value man takes care of himself. Of course, he smells good, look good, whatever, right? And it's not necessarily looks, because a lot of times if you have a confident, well put together person, he'll attract people just from his personality and his attitude. And he don't have to be the best looking guy out there to be attractive. So the next thing, which is also very important for a high value man, is character. He has to have character. So I want you to think for a minute. We call letters characters, numbers characters. Why do we call those characters? Think about that. Because the number 3 is the number 3 at any time of the day. It doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock in the morning or if it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The number 3 is always the number 3. And that's what a high value man has, the type of character that he has. He doesn't switch back and forth. He's predictable. He's the same person no matter who's watching right now or if he's by himself. The exact same person, never changes. He's predictable. And so the reason being is because of his strong values and beliefs, keeps his character together, builds his discipline. And so that's why it's important to recognize those things. And it makes you a high value man by having character. You can be depended upon. I can't imagine somebody coming to me and saying that they don't trust me to watch their kid, or they don't trust me to hold their money, or they don't trust this, right? I can't imagine that. That means within my character, I'm not doing something right. Obviously, if it's a new person or somebody that don't know me, but there are people that we know that we don't trust to watch our kids, and we know them because they don't have that character, that discipline quality. And so that's why it's important as a man to have character. Also, here's another trait: well mannered. Like, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Hold the door open for women or people, period. It doesn't even have to be for women. If you're the first person to the door and there's somebody behind you, offer to hold the door. I don't care if it's a man, if it's a lady, or if it's an animal. As a high valued man, your first thing is to respect other people. And so by you holding that door, it continues to build character and being able to talk and socialize with other people on all different levels, professional levels, being able to communicate, very important when it comes to being a high value man. And again, I just went through these first 5 already, and it has nothing to do with income. These people are going to attract the income. Guaranteed the income is going to come because of the opportunities. Somebody's going to recognize them. Somebody's going to see and say, you know what? That's the type of person I need in my firm or in my office or in my business. I've tell people several times whenever I went to job interviews that, and I feel this from the bottom of my heart, that they would be lucky. I'm interviewing you. You would be real fortunate if I worked for you, because I'm that honest person. I make sure I get along with everybody purposely. Even Even the people that nobody say they get along with, that's my goal, is to make sure I get along with that person, to bring them out of that comfort zone, to make everybody better, which is that next trait, is that a high value man makes everybody better. When you communicate through your communication in all your relationships are better based on you being a part of them. Like if it's knowledge or wisdom, or if it's just being a helpful person, right? Being that person that do exactly what you said you're going to do, or you'll show up on time and you'll be there. These are the traits of a highly valued man. He's also a life learner. A high value man is the life learner, meaning he's always open to learning, reading, or, going, taking classes. Nowadays you can learn from YouTube and Instagram, all these different places you can learn. And so there's no reason for you not to be in position to learn how to do certain things or whatever it is that you might be lacking in. So again, these are high valued men characteristics and traits. So, and you can also learn from people. You can learn from your girlfriend or your wife. You never feel like you're that much higher where you can't learn from other people. And whenever you make a mistake, you're not afraid to apologize or admit that you was wrong. Very important trait. Another thing too, as a high valued man, is that you're not afraid to commit. See, a high value man recognizes, right, potential and chemistry in the relationships. And so therefore, he doesn't need to be validated by having a whole bunch of women or people checking for him, right? He doesn't need that because he already recognizes his value. So therefore, he recognizes the strength and commitment in finding that one person and keeping his word and being faithful to that one person. So again, these are high value men. These are the traits, and not just committed in relationships, also committed in career wise. If you set a career, you commit to it. If you, you know, get a job, you commit to that job. You show up to that job. You're on time on that job, and whatever it takes for you to complete your task. So, and you're, again, part of this is goes back to character, having that, saying exactly what you say you're going to do and doing just that, to the point that you're predictable, where people don't have to worry about you. If you say you're going to be there at 10 o'clock, then they know you're going to be there no matter what. And in fact, if you're not there, then it has to be something that got in the way, right? Very important. Very important. And so the last thing I want to tell you, let me see, we got another comment. Raquel says, are we talking about job or relationships when it comes to this high powered man? High powered, high valued, high powered, high valued, same thing. We're talking about both when it comes to commitment. We're talking about both. Relationships, definitely. A high valued man is not going to be in a bunch of different relationships. What kind of value is that? Like, he's going to find who the right person is and commit to that person. And it's the same thing when it comes to working, right? Again, if you take an individual that go from job, they don't like it, they quit. They try this job, they don't like it, they quit. They're never going to get ahead by quitting. In fact, what's going to happen is they develop, once time get involved, they're going to develop the habit of quitting when they don't like something. And it'll be the same thing with women too. They'll develop a habit of getting in and out of relationships or just juggling different relationships. And that's not high value. And so the last thing, which is to me one of the most important things, is having a spiritual or religious connection. Very important. And and this is from experience for me. The reason I feel like that's important is because when you take an individual, take two individuals and they're coming together, right? So you have one individual that have 30 plus years of experience and another individual that have 30 plus years of experience, and they're trying to come together, deciding that all this my experience is correct, your experience is correct or not correct, right? They trying to make this thing fit. And so what happens is if you have an individual that has a spiritual connection, right? That means they have a source where they can go to help them get the answers. And so if you have two people that agree that we'll make this main source the final say so in our relationship, the beauty, just think about it, the beauty in that. But again, what happens is you have this person, no, this is how I was raised. This is how my mama taught me, or this is how I grew up. And then you have this person saying the exact same thing. And so then when they get together, guess what? It's tragic. It's tragic. Let me see what Jimbo says. Spiritual connect to what though? Well, you know my belief, Jimbo. My belief. I believe that, in the God, the creator. I believe in the Bible, but everybody doesn't believe in the Bible, and so we have to, that's our job, to continue to teach people the value and believing in Jesus. But until we get around to teaching those people have to believe in that there's another source, that they don't have all the answers. That's the main thing, is that if you dealing with a person, a high value man does not believe he has all the answers. He believes that there is a greater power out there that he can get answers from. And so that's why it's important, if you have a person that don't believe that there's a greater power to get answers from, then he's doing everything on his own and he think he's right all the time. Whatever he feels, whatever he say is what he believes. And so if you disagree with him, then where's the final say so? And so in our relationship, we believe in Christ and the Bible, so that we give the Bible, we have an agreement that the Bible has that final say so, and it helps us. And so that's why it's important when it comes to having a high value man, that you recognize that, like, whoa, this guy right here believes he's the only source. And that might be an issue, because in a sense, he's acting as the creator, his own creator. All right. So now let me see. I got some more comments before I get into the high value women. These days, it's really hard to find that person. If you have not found them yet this far in life, speaking about within my age group, whether job or relationship, is pretty far fetched. That you're just trying to has a nice way of saying that is difficult. No, it's not. First of all, it's going to start with your changed attitude that we just talked about. You have to realize that there are billions of people on the planet that's looking at our age group, that's looking for the same thing you're looking for. You just might have to open up your environment where you're looking. So if you open up a small area and you don't see anything in that small area, stretch your area out more. Continue to stretch your area out even more, right? You have to try other sources. There's nothing wrong with trying, certain sources. Like maybe there's a dating app where you can find certain, people that have the same beliefs as you. Again, these are just starting points. These are just starting points where you have the opportunity. So again, I would say, where are you looking? Are you, are you actively, based on your belief, are you looking in churches or at, in schools or stuff like that? So obviously I don't know what type of particular man you want, but it's important that you open up that area that you're looking, and be specific too. Exactly. Be specific on, the type of person that you want, and don't tolerate anything. But it's going to start with your attitude changing. And once your attitude changing, you're going to begin to have better, more opportunities, guaranteed. Because right now you can be pushing the potentials away just based on you automatically thinking that it's not going to work, or there's nobody out here. And so you can be walking around closed. You can be walking around like, you know, people think that they can't communicate with you or talk to you because, you know, the way you're coming across. So you want to be that, and I'm going to get into these qualities of a high value woman. High value women, you want to be that type that attracts. So since you mentioned that, let's talk about high value women. And again, this is just Coach A's Coach A's perception of high value women. And again, it has nothing to do with income or money or anything like that. Would you say been blind, walking for sure? What is blind walking? Tell me what that is. What is blind walking? So, well, open them eyes so you can see now. So, high value women. First of all, why should women seek to be a high value woman or a high value woman? Why is it important to be a high? You ever notice that there are some women that seems like they have all the great opportunities, and it seems like things just work out for them. They always met with good fortune, and right. And so that's part of high value women. These things are attracted to them. These are the top of the line women, top of the line. And so, high value women, again, this is Coach A's perspective. I want you to understand this. A high value woman is the highest species on earth, on planet Earth. A high value woman. And so the reason being is because men work for women. I know you've heard the saying that behind every great man there's a great woman, and that's true. Men, when a guy finds the love of his life changes. He begins to work hard for that particular woman, that high value women. And a lot of times they don't even have to be a high value woman. That's just, what happens. But if you're not a high value woman, then that relationship eventually deteriorates both ways. If you don't have, if men are not operating at a high value and women the same, then there's a potential for deterioration. The divorce rate and separation rate is high. It's like 50, almost 60%. And that doesn't matter if you in church or out of church. It's just high. And so let's get into some of these traits, these high value women traits. Top of the line again, these are the highest species on earth. High value women. First of all, she knows her worth, right? She knows her worth. She knows, and some of them gonna overlap with the men, with some of the qualities and traits of the men, just a few. She knows her worth. She knows how valuable she is, and it's not connected to, her social status. It's not connected to how much money she's making. In fact, she don't even need validation from other people. She automatically knows her worth. It's not connected or wrapped up in how she looked, right? Her body shape. No, none of that. Automatically, she has that attitude of importance. And that's how she carries herself wherever she goes. She realizes that she's a walking diamond or gold in every situation, not to the point where she's uh what you call it, conceited. No, she just recognizes her value, and you can see it in the way she treats herself. She's not out thirsting for attention. See, the difference is when you have women that's showing a lot of their body parts and they're looking for attention because they don't know that they already have value. So their value is based on what they can show you. They want to show you that they have value. Look at this. Look at what I have right here. This is valuable. Don't you think I'm valuable because I have this? Don't you think I'm valuable? I'm going to show you this, right? That's a woman that doesn't know her value, because knowing your value as a woman, you won't, you automatically have it. You don't have to hear from nobody. Nobody has to give you no likes or no shout out. You know, that right? And you have a self love, right? And it's connected, like you're not putting yourself out there because of the self-love that you have for yourself. And I don't mean entitlement. You don't walk around feeling like you're entitled to anything. You just recognize that you are valuable and you have a value, something to offer the world. Next thing is a high value women she's kind and compassionate, right? Think about that. Very kind and compassionate, and to everybody, not just her friends, not just the people she vibe with or the people she like. She's kind and compassionate to everybody. In fact, her communication with people, you would think she knows people. You would think that they're already close friends, because that's truly how she is. She's compassionate about other people, and it's sincere, in all sincerity too. It's not being fake or putting on the front. She really do care and have compassion for other people, period, point blank. And it's always reflected in her actions and what she's doing. Very important as a high value woman to have that compassion for other people. And so I got a couple questions about women, right? So, and this is for guys. You can look at the women in your life and answer these questions. Does her presence bring a warmth and positive environment to everybody around? Just her being there is like positive vibes, and everybody's engaged and happy, right? Does her presence bring that? It set that type of environment, a positive, happy, joyful, warm environment. And another question is, does she care about others and show it? Very simple. Does she care about other people? Are you the type of person, the type of woman that's going to sit in the corner and not interact with other people the whole time? I don't know them. They don't know me. That's not caring. A caring person sees somebody. I want to know how you doing? How was your day? Right? And I'm not talking about just to guys. I'm talking about people, period, engaging and then showing. So again, these are traits of high valued women from Coach A. All right, from Coach A. Another trait is committed to personal growth, right? Both spiritually, physically, mentally, right? All these things. A high value woman are in tune with their spirituality. Again, that's that recognizing that they don't have all the answers inside, that there's a greater source, i.e., God or Jesus, but there's a greater source that they can get answers to help them with some of the life questions, right? Their translation, she would be a praying or meditating type person. Again, for the same reason it's important for the guys, is this exact equally important for the women to recognize that you're going to have situations in your life where you and circumstances and problems where you don't know the answer. And so you can't rely on yourself. You can't always rely on other people. So you're going to have to know how to sit and be quiet and reach for that outside source, God. That's what I call it, right? And recognize that it'll help you get answers and it'll help you in these situations. That's another way of being humble, recognizing that you're not the God here on earth. And so when you walk around like that, like you're not God and there's a greater power above you, it makes us humble. And so therefore you recognize, it's easy to be humble amongst each other. So committed to personal growth, that's spiritually, physically, right? She makes time to exercise. She watches what she eats, right? She's not always pigging out every single day. These are these are these are characteristics. I'm sorry. These are characteristics of high value women. She really pays attention to health wise and the health of her partners, or if she's with somebody. Mentally as well, because it's just as important to understand the mental aspect. And so, again, it's important to realize that these are all committed to growth, meaning that you're constantly growing in all these environments. You don't have to know everything right now, but seek to know, understand more about your spirituality, understand more about your physical health, understand more about your mental health and your mind when it comes to your mental aspect on your thinking process and your attitudes and your moods and depression, all these, where these things come from. That's the mental portion. When you begin to understand of how your environment affects your thinking affects your attitude, then your attitude affects your mood, affects your actions. Once you begin to understand these things, you know how to solve these problems in the beginning, and you'll never be in a depressed state. Never, because you understand where that comes from. And it works the same in each individual. Each individual, there's always a thought process that becomes a mental habit or stronghold that eventually turns into some type of depressive state. And so if you understand that, then you can nip it right in the bud. Nope, I don't need to be watching this right now. Nope, I got to turn off social media. Nope, I can't talk to this friend because she always too negative. You understand that and start taking these precautions in the beginning. So again, that's all part of the growth. You know, self-awareness. A high value woman is very self-aware. She understands her actions and her speech is linked to others and everybody around them. So you'll never catch her talking outside of being positive, you know, recognizing that, negative talk affects people. No matter if you can see the effects or not, it does. So she's very strong, high self control when it comes to her speech, how she's talking. And so that's part of a high value woman's quality of understanding and recognizing her actions and her speech, and knowing that there's all linked to everybody around her and everything that's around her. So she's always being respectful to everybody, even if they're not being respectful to her. I just had to go ahead and put that long pause in there, so let that sink in. Again, it goes back to what we talked about, that attitude of the three different roads. You can take the low road, the middle road, or the high road. And remember, the high road gets you where you want to get to a lot faster. And so a lot of times, if you have all these traits, you're not going to be in situations where you're being disrespected like that. Very rare. It happens, yes, but very rare, because you're going to be so in tune with what's going on, and so your environment is going to be so loving. People is going to feel like it's going to be crazy for somebody to come at you negatively when you've been positive this whole time, and you're not even in that environment. Like, you haven't been cursing or acting up or doing anything to even warrant that. So it's, how hard it is to just come up to somebody and just start, bashing them or talking bad. They ain't even done nothing. So by having these traits, you're going to always be in the right situation where you don't even have to worry about that. Not to mention, so many people around going to be ready to defend you. So, and also, a high value woman, she also observes and recognize and respect other people's feelings and thoughts as well. Very important. Realizing that their thoughts and their feelings is just as important, if not more important, than your own, depending on the situation. And you treat people just as that, where they feel like their feelings are, they're expressing themselves, and it's important based on the way you're treating them. Boy, y'all quiet out there. It's just because you said I'm gonna keep praying. Yes, keep praying among all the other things. So yeah, definitely making sure that you recognize other people's feelings. She does that. Also, a high value woman encourages others, right? She encourages others and is not judgmental. Woo-wee. So, oh, Jimbo said, we still listening, coach. So she encouraging to others and is not judgmental. Very important. Very important to have that quality of not judging other people, no matter what they look like, no matter how they dress, no matter how they talk. I know it's hard not to. I mean, obviously, we do some form of judging. I believe that's not necessarily judgment, but a form of discernment is important, because it can help in certain situations, obviously. But when it comes to interacting with the individual, no, you interact with them with nothing but love and respect, as if they're at the same level as you are, or even higher. You interact with them as if they're at a higher level than you. So it's just, that's making people feel special and being encouraging. And so that's what, again, you're creating that environment as a high value woman, a, a guy. If you had a guy and you got these qualities, he's going to be very proud to bring you around. He also going to get a lot of compliments too, like, yo, your girl, she's awesome, man. Every time, he ain't gonna be able to go nowhere without you. Like, where your girl at? So she's nice. So these are, and a lot of times when you create this type of environment for yourself, it helps you. You have other people rooting for your success because they generally feel like you're rooting for their success. And so now you're creating friends and allies. So a high value woman, right, is never manipulating. She's mature, not manipulating. She's not trying to play games to get what she wants or to do certain things. She's just straight mature. She understands, knows how to communicate, knows how to express herself in a positive, non-disrespectful way. She doesn't always feel like she has to be right, but she's not afraid to voice her opinion. She's not afraid to speak her mind and tell you how she feel. And she's definitely not afraid to come back and let you know when she was wrong. That's funny, Raquel. She said, "And she dances better than you." That's a good one. Yeah. Yes. So she's also goal oriented, right? She's goal oriented. It's okay to have goals that you're working towards in life, right? And and in doing so, don't let anybody get in your way. A high value woman doesn't let people get in the way of their goals ever. And so, granted, if you find a man, right, becomes a friend, he's not going to get in your way. In fact, he's going to be just as encouraging to you. And he should be the one that come to you with ideas to help your journey better, to help make your journey easier and better. And so if you don't see it, I just had to say it, but if you don't have an individual that takes pride in seeing you excel and making sure that you're going to be okay and make it easier for you, then like Raquel said, you just have to do some more praying. So I like this one. A high value woman has class, right? She has class. She knows how to embrace her charm and beauty, right? I mean, she obviously she can wear nice outfits and a little curve here, a little curve there, not too much, but she knows exactly how to embrace it, right? Without being too much. But watch this. But at the same time, she doesn't view other women as competition. She views other women as allies, like friends. Like, that's my girlfriend. We cool, not competition. See, that's all part of that self confidence. A lot of times women look at other women as competition. Like, oh, she trying to get my man, or, we after the same thing. No, trust me, root for them, root and help them, and guarantee you it's going to come back to you. A high value woman takes care of herself, right? Dresses nice, looks nice all the time, at least in public, right? Shout out to Real Talk Tuesday. They was talking about this and talking about women wearing bonnets and stuff sometimes when they leave out the house. And so, I just made a comment like, you don't want to get caught slipping. You might miss your Prince Charming. So that's why it's important that you leave time. If you have to be there at a certain time, make sure you have enough time to get yourself where you need to be, where you should be. That's a high value woman, right? You don't want to just walk out of the house looking anyway, like I don't care. No, you don't want to do that. Last thing about a high value woman is she embraces her vulnerability. Think about that. Embraces her vulnerability. So obviously, you can't open up to any and everybody you talk to and any and everybody you meet. But deep down inside, when you have that right person or you feel like you found that right person, that's what you want to do. You want to be open and honest because that's what allows the relationship to grow and allow it to flourish and allow it to thrive. Is through that honesty, through both parties, not just the women, but the men, through both parties being vulnerable and open. You know, you might have to talk about some things that happened in the past that you've had to deal with, or some things that you've been afraid of and you want to overcome. So, I mean, I don't know what that it's going to be different in each individual, but nowadays women feel like it's better to just keep things in. Like I don't have to tell this individual everything, or and I mean, it works to a certain extent, but when you're trying to cross that line and, into a serious relationship, you're going to have to open up and be comfortable about opening up and communicating. And men should be definitely, open up. We have a bad habit of not opening up ourselves and just keeping things to ourselves. So again, that's Coach A's list of high valued men and high value women. I hope you got something out of it. And so I listen, whatever it is you want or you're looking for in life is going to come to you. It's on its way right now. You just have to be ready to receive it. And so now what we're doing is we're getting you prepared so that you can have that impact, because it's on its way. You like how I threw that in there. It's on its way to you for sure. So just again, keep that positive attitude. Again, we went through attitudes, talking about how to have the winning attitude, and we talked about high valued men and high valued women. It has nothing to do with money, how much income you making. And again, it's all subjective. One person's trash is another man's treasure. So don't let that keep you from advancing either, because a person has a specific past or whatnot. Again, you just have to be open. So again, I apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't know what the problem is with the video, but I was able to get back on, and I appreciate everybody that tuned in and left a comment. And I love you guys. Coach A, we out of here. Peace.